So, Brad, when we spoke on the phone, your energy blew me away in terms of what you saw in terms of the cloud optimization, the way we're going, the innovation that we're seeing in the space. So talk to us, first of all, about what is, a phenomenal amount of investment that's going into this particular area.
Yeah, so I am very much the cloud advocate at Nasdaq, and as I think about having in our past gone to the board and had asked for the capital investment to build our own data centers, I can't see ever doing that again. I can't see a board ever giving you the capital required to build a data center and convincing the board that we're actually going to be competitive with the level of investment that's going on in cloud data centers. So that's one thing. If you look at last year, the amount invested by cloud infrastructure was equal to the total venture capital investment in the United States.
Wow.
So you think about it, it's the untold story about the modernization of infrastructure, and we all know that the data infrastructure, the innovation that's going on, is the future of how you run business and where you actually implement new services. So it's only logical that if you're a new company, and we're going to hear from a lot of them that are here today and the founders of those companies, so I'd ask you to ask them questions. Why would they build their services, their new companies, native in the cloud? And it's for that reason the most modern infrastructure can be found in the cloud. It will continue to be that. So if you want to innovate, if you want to participate in all the innovation that's going on in the next thinking ahead, it's going to be resident there. So things like having skills, all the topics you talked about, skills, security, those are problems and issues we're going to all have to solve. But I don't think it's going back to ever going to your board and saying, geez, I really want to build this brand new data center and I'm the best at it in the world and it's a good investment for our shareholders. So I think that is, if you think about it that way, you get really excited about now learning what are the capabilities, what can I do today in the cloud that I couldn't do on-prem. Yeah. So I think we'll talk about some of those natural advantages that you have by building your next generation services in a cloud-based environment.
Okay, so what are the next iterations? What is the most exciting way that you're seeing cloud being adopted? We talked a little bit about how it's basically streaming your data information nowadays on the cloud. How are you seeing that work, particularly at Nasdaq?
Yeah, so if you just think about human nature and as leaders, you want to know when something meaningful happens in your business, you want to know it now. So you'd rather have it today. It doesn't necessarily have to be even consumed by a person. It could be consumed by an automated process so that your business can be just more responsive. Whether it's financial reporting, this notion of people talking about continuous rather than a close, than a quarterly batch process, that you're continuously updating your systems. Whether it's anything that has to do with your customers, obviously if something is going well, growth, you want to know that immediately. That's great.
You want to brag about it.
You want to brag about it. You want to have confidence. You want to feed it. If it's something that your customers are not liking, if you're having a customer issue, I think we've instrumented that traditionally very well with events and anomalies and things like that. But you have now, I think, the power to now take these events on the more positive side and really start to infuse all your different business processes with real-time events. And that we're going to hear from some folks who really saw that and we've grown up as a transaction processing capability through systems, and that it's very much a symmetrical thing, transaction processing, and the traditional database providers solve that problem well. But when you saw something like LinkedIn, and LinkedIn wasn't about the transaction updating your profile that created value, it was about all the different activities that were happening between the network of folks on LinkedIn. Yeah. So that was a unique problem set that had to be solved, and that kind of was the birth of Kafka. And so there's some foundational technology that creates what we're talking about, this real-time business that can be enabled across any area that you think you've got opportunity. So I wouldn't limit it to whether it's financial reporting, customer service, revenue generation, or problem detection, where we traditionally have used events in our operations space. It really allows you to think about what's the problem you want to solve, and don't solve it from a batch standpoint. You can now solve it real time.
How much more efficient in terms of risk management surveillance has the cloud made Nasdaq? How are you able to brag to those on the board that the investment has all been worth it? Thank you very much indeed.
Well, we have, so one of our businesses is market technology, where we sell our technology in addition to what we use to run the Nasdaq markets in the US and in Northern Europe. We also productize those technologies and we sell them. So one of our leading products, and we're having our surveillance conference in Paris. So I chose to be with you instead of Paris today.
Good of you.
I don't know if that was a great choice. No, it was absolutely the right choice. It was absolutely the right choice. But so we have a surveillance product that really consumes customers' trades and looks for patterns of bad behavior. So we see that is a perfect example. We're collecting those from all different markets around the world. So if you're a banker or broker, you want your activity. If you're a market, you want to put it all together. And then, of course, you want to look across different markets. So you want to kind of that notion of Humpty Dumpty, put all the picture back together. And that was really tough to do in the past without something like what we were just talking about. So we're using Kafka for both risk management, and we envision it for our next generation of trade surveillance. And then the meeting spot. So how you do these things where you want to do risk calculations across a broad swath of exchanges or customers or even entities. You can't do that in your own proprietary data center, because when it comes down to saying, okay, whose data center are we going to meet in? The lawyers are always like, ours. And then we say, but let's meet in someone else's data center. It's like, nope, we're not going to move our data over there. How are we going to repatriate it if the partnership breaks down? So really the cloud creates this neutral, natural spot to have the data meet and to do things like cross-company, cross-party risk management calculations. And this notion of having the data come in more real-time, doing risk calculations more real-time, and then some of the technology, the in-memory processing, and the scale-up, scale-down capability of the cloud allows you to do this where you don't have to commit that capital forever. And you may want to do special risk calculations at different times of the day, but you don't want to commit all that capital 100% of the time. So you put all those things together, and you can see a time that you can do risk calculations that you never conceived to be cost effective. And you also can do them across parties that would never have. Practically everyone said, yes, it makes sense for us to all band together and get a better view, more comprehensive view of risk. But practically, we could never find the place to do it.
So it's helping you collaborate.
So I think it opens up this notion of protective collaboration. And oftentimes for fraud, that's the best example of where we all come together. If you're fighting fraud, you need to do that with a broader community. And the fraudsters are pretty clever, as we know, and they will go find the weakest link and exploit it. So it helps for us to, I would say that's the area of collaboration that's natural.
What about the good old acronym that is AI? Because I feel for the past 4 or 5 years, having covered technology and now business more broadly, I'm pitched constantly, we are the latest, greatest startup using artificial intelligence. But how is it actually being integrated into your cloud? How are you seeing it being integrated into others' cloud at the moment? The real implication and impact of what can be the phenomenal move that is artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so we look at it 3 different ways. One, the first and the most exciting is when you can create a new product or you can improve your existing product. So that's attached to revenue. So if you can find one of those examples in your company, go there first. The second one is on the cost side, and I'll give examples of where we've been able to do that. On both of those. So on the product side, the Smarts product, we do pattern recognition for trade fraud, and we've been able to use AI, similar to what you do for picture computer vision.
Yeah.
We're able to look at trading patterns, buys, sells, quotes, and see a particular pattern as if it's a picture. So you look at it, and it was pretty innovative. The engineers that looked at it, and they said, okay, we can see when someone is doing spoofing or attempting to do layering and spoofing. That looks like a picture, and we can have then the machine comb through, and you can back test it, and you have to have obviously explainability into those solutions, but you can spot things that a human might not be able to spot, or the traditional pattern recognition type techniques.
We didn't hear that, don't worry.
Yeah, someone, your phone. So I think that's a real example of us being able to extend a product, and we see that obviously it can do that at scale. It can look at potentially more things. We also believe that we'll get better at eliminating false positives. So any type of anomaly detection, you always have to worry about how much do you open it up and then you overwhelm, whether it's the people or the algorithm that are looking for things, and you want to have as high a quality events come up, and then you also can't miss things, so you can get in trouble if your product doesn't spot things that people are engaged in. So there's always that tuning as well, and we think AI helps out for tuning.
And it can help companies other than data-driven ones such as yours, inherently data-thriving ones such as yourself.
And then on the cost side, we have a group called Advisor Services, and they produce ownership reports for our listed companies. And the IR, the CFO, always wants to know, okay, who's in my stock, who's out of my stock, why, and so they have traditionally been for years writing reports. So wherever you have any type of report generation by people, you get a great productivity lift, and you can baseline your quality. So we were able to use those reports to feed and train machine learning, natural language, to produce a baseline starting report. So you can get about 80% of it done, and then you have the analysts finish it. So you think about the problem of onboarding new advisors. They come up to speed, their first quality, they look at who are the best analysts' reports, they try and learn how to structure it and do it well. So they don't even have to go through that learning curve. They start out with an 80% high quality, well-structured report, and then they finish it off. So we've seen that we can add on, and we've typically limited the number of customers we can serve in a quality way based on the number of advisors we have. So you can also think about having maybe a lower priced version of that. Yeah. That's if we can get to a report that we think is 100% machine generated or very little human generated, we can service some customers that may have been not buying the service because of the price point. So you can look wherever you've got that in your company. It can be to scale up to serve more customers, or it can be a savings, or it can be a new product as well at a different price point. So pretty natural language capabilities in all the cloud. Again, you don't have to do it yourself. These services are available to use in all three cloud providers.
So you as a CIO here today, what are you most excited about hearing, about and understanding, about and learning about?
Well, I would say there's also in AI, what I didn't cover is we're starting to see a maturation of companies saying that, you know what, it's going to be really tough for you to do it from scratch.
Yeah.
So conceiving of platforms. So you already have, you've gone through all the learning of how do you apply AI to your company, and here are the generic things that you're going to need. And so Uptake is a company that's here, and you can listen to how they see the future. But it's probably not everyone also, just like you're not going to build a data center again, you're probably going to start from either a service in the cloud or a platform that gets you going, and you don't have to do a lot of the core architectural thinking about how you're gonna start to use AI. So it's pretty exciting. I think this year, how many people were here last year? How many people? So we were downstairs. If you get a chance, I wish it was a sunny day. We have our outside patio. This is brand new office space for us. We're thinking about new markets and non-financial markets. We're thinking of opening and bidding this out for New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, one customer might be willing to pay $200,000 for this, but what if you packaged it into little securities of parties of 10? You know, we might triple the amount we could make off of this. Yeah, it depends on well, and that's what we think is you would want to factor in the price is if it's going to be 40 degrees, it'll have a higher price. If it's negative 15, you know, well, actually it may go up in price because you have a bathroom and heating here. So yeah,
I like your thinking.
Yes.
I like your thinking.
So
well,
that's hopefully I set up today. There's great topics from the cloud provider, from the and we really have a unique list of folks that have founded these companies like Snowflake and Confluent that have big ideas and they see solutions for us for the future, not for the past. So I hope you engage with them actively and enjoy your time here today.
Well, Brad, we first of all want to thank you for potentially giving the opportunity for people to win an Echo Dot. Remember to put your business cards in a pot. You can win an Echo Dot through Nasdaq. We want to thank you for sponsoring, and we largely want to thank you for not going to Paris and for being here with us to eat croissants right here in central New York instead. Thank you so much, Brad Peterson,
Thank you.
CIO of Nasdaq.